So today basically we will discuss the ACLs and NET. Okay, so I will also take this class as a theoretical only. I will tell you everything regarding ACL and NET, and tomorrow we will see the implementation of these things, ACL and NET. And after that we are having one more class on VPN, so we will finish RASA, and after that from Monday onward we will start the Palo Alto, because it's a crash course. Okay, so I need to finish it ASAP only. Okay, so let me go through with this PDF. So what happens in ASA? You all know, like, we are having security levels and all, right? So our security level is a number between 0 to 100 that determines how firewall rules are processed for the data plane. Data plane means the actual data initiated by the users. Okay. Security levels are tied to an interface. The inside or the private side interface is always 100. Means we generally set the security level on inside interface or the other interfaces, like similar to inside with 100, and the others like public facing interface means that outside interface is having 0. So in DMZ interface we can set any number between 1 to 99. Traffic on the ASA is allowed by default from a high security level interface to low security level interface. Okay, you have to remember this point. All the traffic is allowed from high security level to low security level. Okay. And ACL must explicitly permit traffic from a lower security level interface to a high security. Okay. So what happens if we want to allow the traffic from high security level to low security level? Means like this is my ASA firewall. Okay, this is my inside network, and it is having 100 security level, and this is my outside network. It is having security level 0. Okay, the thing is, by default all the traffic allowed from high to low. If we also want to allow that traffic from low to high, for that we need to open a ACLs. Okay, we need to write a ACL. ACL stand for access control list. Okay, these are the actual rules. Now, let me move. Okay, so generally we are having, these are the types of ACLs. We are having standard ACLs, we are having extended ACLs, we are having ether type ACLs and web type ACLs. Okay, so standard ACL used for routing protocols and or for like basic firewall rules only. So generally we use this for routing protocols. Okay, so always in firewall we use the extended ACLs. Okay, so by using extended ACLs we can define the source IP address, destination IP address, source port, destination port, these, and the protocol. Means we can define the source IP, destination IP, destination port, source port, and the protocol. Okay, we want to define these 5 things, we need extended ACL. So always we will configure the extended ACL only. We are having ether type ACL, which we use in a transparent mode when our firewall running in the transparent mode. So generally you will see the deployment of ASA in routed mode only. Okay, which is also known as a layer 3 mode. We use this web type of ACL in a RBPN, SSL VPN, or AnyConnect. Okay, so like Cisco, iOS, ACLs are processed from top to bottom. Means if we write like this is the first ACL, this is the second ACL, this is the third ACL. Okay, like this. So we are having that kind of ACL. So first this ACL match always, after that this, after that this. Okay, like this from top to bottom. A criteria match will cause the ACL to be exited. Okay, means The thing is, if traffic match with this first rule, okay, then it not go for the other rules match, okay. If the rule is not match the first rule, then it go for second rule. If second rule also not match, then it go for third rule. If third rule match, then it not go for the fourth rule. Okay, it can stop here. And according to the action, which like so we can define the action in AC like allow or permit. Okay, and drop or deny. So generally we use permit and deny. Okay, permit means we are allowing the traffic, deny means we are dropping the traffic. We can also give a remark to a particular ACL. Okay, so what happens? We are having ACLs. We are having one ACL. Okay, what happens? That ACL having multiple lines. Okay, these lines known as a AC, access control entities. Okay, because one ACL having around 1,000+ lines. Okay, in production. So these lines is known as a access control entities. ACL can be enabled, disabled based on the time ranges. Means sometimes we can also define the time ranges for the ACL. So means like from 12 to 4, like one ACL is active, okay, and the other time this ACL become in disabled state. It is not in active state. Okay, like that we can write the policies as well. Any doubt with these ACLs and all, like these types of ACLs? Because in interview they will ask like type of ACLs, and maybe they will ask difference between a standard ACL and extended ACL. So you have to tell like the in extended ACL we can use the source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, and protocols. But in a standard ACL we can only use the source IP. We cannot use the protocol and all that kind of things. Okay, so that's why it is only used for routing protocols. Okay, what happens? Let's suppose you have write lots of ACL, right, like this, and like from inside, like this is your inside users. They are sending lots of traffic towards the outside, right? What happens every time that traffic matches with this rule or maybe this rule or maybe this rule, right? So generally what happens, we can also enable the login on that. So if this rule matches, our firewall gives a log to us, so we can see, okay, this rule is hitting. Okay, so for that we need to add this keyword at the end of the ACL, like access list. This is the format to write the access list, my ACL. We can after take define the action which is deny or permit. After that IP, after we can define the source IP address, destination IP address, and the log, like this. Okay. So generally they will ask like why we use logging on ACL. So you have to tell that thing. If we enable the logging on ACL, that time it gives the log. Okay. So I'm not discussing this new features in 8.3 because the thing is right now the latest version which are running is 9.x. No one using these versions. Okay. So I will discuss only the latest version. Okay, now let me see. The thing is, we are also having the concept of object groups, okay, in ASA firewall. So what happens? The use of these object group, we can like if we are having around 100 network, okay, 100 networks in our inside, and like 50 network in our DMZ. That time what happens? We can just create one object group, and on that object group we can call all these 100 networks, okay, and we give this object group as a name like inside. Okay, so the thing is in that case, we don't need to put all these 100 network. We just use this particular group which is inside. Okay, so basically so if we are going to write any policy, any ACL or any net statement, that time it becomes like very easy to us. Okay, we will see how we can create the object and all. Yeah, like they have created this network object which is admins, right? They have defined, they give the description, this is for administrator addresses, and they have giving these addresses, right? So they just combine all the administrator IP address in one group. Same thing with the red group. Okay, so this is for also services, means we are running 100 of servers in our DMZ, right? So we can group these servers according to according to their services, according to the port numbers and all. Okay, anyone having doubt on that? Anybody? Yeah, Bhargav, you are having any doubt? Guys,
No.
okay, then guys, ask the question if you are having any doubt with these groups and all, because it's an important thing. Okay, definitely you will face lots of questions with that in interviews. I will also take one more PDF for that. Okay, so let me also take this particular thing. Okay, that include lots of things. So in this, I will share that PPT as well with you. Okay, so you can also go through with this PPT. The thing is, here we get some more theory on that. So access list can be configured to filter network traffic as it passes through the firewall or router. Means we use ACL. Okay, like this is our firewall, and this is your inside. This is your DMZ, right? This is your outside. Okay, not DMZ. This is your inside. Let's suppose here you are having Google server, right? You are also having Facebook server. You are having Gmail server. Okay, you are also having torrent over there and some movie sites also there. Okay, and what happened? What happened? Here you are having some inside users, right? And they are now able to access everything. Like they can go for Google, Facebook, Gmail, torrent, and movie sites as well. Okay, what happens? Now, just your manager said you just give the access to these guys for this Google, Facebook, and Gmail. And if somebody trying to access these torrent or the movie site, that time you just drop that packet. So if we want to achieve these kind of things, we always use the access control list, ACLs. Okay, so means it controls the traffic which is going through the firewall. Okay, it is like good example for that. If we want to allow the traffic for these particular servers, and if we want to deny that traffic for these particular servers, that kind of things we can achieve by using the ACLs. Okay, now let me also take you some more example. Like this is, here we are having some internet users. Okay, and here you are having DMZ. This is your DMZ, and here you are having some servers, right? So what happens? You just hosted these servers to everybody. Okay, you have hosted these servers for publicly. So what happens? These guys trying to access these servers, right? So maybe in internet there are some hackers also available, like attackers. He is also trying to access these servers, and he is just trying to do some malicious activities over there. So if you want to block the traffic which is initiated by that attacker, for that you also need to define the access list. Okay, so means it controls the traffic which is going through your network and which is coming into your network. Okay, so if we want to achieve that kind of task, we will achieve by using the ACL only. We are not having other things to do that. Okay, so this is the difference between router ACLs and the ASA ACL. Okay, like to and through traffic means like this is your ASA firewall. and this is your inside, and this is outside, and here you are having Google server. Okay, so the traffic initiated by this user towards this Google, which is going through this firewall. This is a through traffic. Okay, and the thing is, if this particular user want to ping the AS interface, it's like two traffic which hits on the firewall interface, and firewall need to give the reply for that. This is a two traffic. Okay, in generally in routers it supports the wildcard mask, but in ASA we are having only subnet mask. We are not having any wildcard concept on this ASA. It supports the extended and standard ACLs. It also supports so generally always we configure the extended ACL on the interface. Okay, in ASA it supports the standard as well, but we always go with the extended only. So this is my object group. Okay, so we use for reducing or customizing the ACL rules. Let's suppose, let me give you the scenario over there for that. This is your ASA firewall. Okay, this is your inside. Inside you are having these network 10.1.1.0/24 with 2.0/24, 3.0/24, 4.0/24. Like that you are having around 100 networks, till 100.0/24. Okay, and now you are having one server. Okay, in outside, and this server having IP address 200.1.1.100 like this. Okay, so now if you want to give the access of this server to around like 50 networks, like from 1.0 to 50.0. Okay, so what happens? You have to write the ACL, right? Like this access list. After that, you give the name like inside. Okay, after that, you can need to define like permit. You give this name access inside permit. Okay, after that, you give the IP and the source of these servers. Okay, so you need to define the every network like 10.1.1.0/24. Right after that, the server IP address like 200.1.1.100. So you have to do that thing for around 50.0 network, right? So you need a 50 ACLs. Okay. And the thing is, if we group these networks, like we can just create this network, object network. We can give this network as like inside network. After that, we just define all these subnets over there. There is a keyword subnet, okay? And we can define all these subnets in this one group only. After that, we don't need to add these particular 50 servers or 50 network over there. We just need this keyword object network and the inside object inside. That's it. Then we are done. So we don't need to write the 50 statements. We just write the one statement for ACL. Okay, here we need to write around 50 subnets and all, right? So what happens if you are also having one more server, right? Which is having like 200.1.1.20. So you also give the access of this server to these 50 guys. That time you also need to write the same statement, right? And only you need to change this one. Okay, so your process become very easy, right? You have created these kind of groups one time, and you are now using these groups to writing your policies, writing your ACLs, right? So that is the benefit which we can achieve by using the object groups. Okay. So if anyone having doubt with the object groups, why we use this object group, this is the benefit, okay, which we can achieve by using the object groups. And also you will see these kind of deployment in the production. In production we always use the object groups, okay, and also all the firewalls support these object groups and all firewalls like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, ASA, Firepower, every firewall etc. Okay, it supports these kind of things. So you have to understand these object groups, what is the use of these object groups and all. Okay, used for reducing or customizing the ACL rules. Manually reduces the number of ACL entries. If 5 systems want to communicate to other 5 systems for 5 different services, we need to write around 1 to 5 ACL. Okay, like if we are having around 5 systems here, and there is 5 systems, 5 servers in outside, and these servers is running like port 80 on 80, on 443, on 53, on 25, on 22. Like these are the 5 services. In that case, we need to write around 125 ACLs, right? If we group these, like we can group these ones in one ACL, we group these ones in one object, we group these networks in one object group, we just group these particular servers in one object group, and we also group these services in one service object group. And we just write the ACL like this, okay? Supported in a single and multi-context mode. So this feature supported in all modes, okay? So in that case, we only need to write one ACL. We are done. So it is like reducing our configuration and all, right? Like that process become very easy to configure, to write the policies and all, to write the ACLs in the firewall. Supporting route and transparent, it supports on both type of modes, okay? That on object groups. You cannot remove an object group or make an object group empty if it is used in the command. Means, see what happens if you have created these kind of object group, like you have created inside object group, DMZ object group, like outside object that kind, and you are using these object group in a ACLs or NAT, okay? And if you want to delete this thing, you can't delete. You are not able to delete, okay? It will not allow to delete. You have to remove first from ACLs or from NAT. After that only you can delete that thing, okay? So the names of the object group should be unique. Means we need to give the name to every object like unique name only. Let me show you one configuration which I am having, which is from one of my customer. You will see how many objects and all we are having on this file, okay? So this is the particular like that running configuration of ASA firewall. So maybe you are having these much interfaces over there, okay? Because we are taking in our scenario only 3 interfaces, but in production you will see multiple interfaces, okay? Huge, around 10, 20 like this, okay? Like this you are having. And if I talk about the object group, see that object group is started from here. So you are having huge number of objects, okay? Around 10,000, 2,000 like this. Depends on the customer configuration, okay? Like this. See, huge, I'm having huge objects, okay? After that, you are having lots of ACLs as well, right? My ACL start from here. So you are also having lots of ACL in the actual production, okay? So if you are okay with the concepts, that time you can able to configure these things and all, okay? Because lots of things are there in the production and all, okay? You will see that kind of things in production if you got any chance to working with the firewall and all. Okay, so here we are having types of object groups. Oh God. Okay, so we are having protocols types of object group. Okay, in these kind of object group, we can define our services like TCP, UDP, ICMP, IP, right? GRE, SMTP. These kind of protocols we can define on these protocols kind of object groups. Means we can define the protocols. So these kind of objects are also known as a service objects. Okay, this is known as the service objects. This is a simple name for that. In service object, we are having protocol kind of object group. So this is the format to write a particular object group, like object group, then protocol. After that, we need to define the group ID, means we need to define the name. It's not ID, it's a name. Okay. After we just give this given protocol object, we can define the name of the protocol like TCP, UDP, ICMP, any. We are also having a network kind of object groups. So in network kind of object group, we can define we are having host kind of object group, range kind of object group, subnet kind of object. Host means it include one IP address like this, 10.1.100. If we are having that kind of object group, it is known as a host. Range means if I am just including these IP addresses like 1 to 10 to 192.168.1.50 like this, I'm having a range of IP addresses, right? It is known as a range. And subnet, you know, like if I'm writing this to 10.0.0.0/24 or like 192.168.1.0/24, this is a subnet kind of network objects. Okay, this is the command to write these object group, then network. Here we define the name, like we can use inside, outside, DMZ, servers, any name. Okay, after we can define the host kind of, if we want to include the host, we can give this name. If we want to add the network, we can give this kind of name, like network address and the subnet mask. Okay, these are the way how we can create these things. So like in service kind of object, we can combine the services together, means we can write the TCP services. So you know, like port number 80, which is HTTP, HTTPS, right? Telnet, SSH, these are the TCP based protocols, right? So the thing is, if we want to include these kind of object, in that case, we need to create a TCP based object. Okay, and you know UDP protocols like 53, which is DNS is a UDP. Okay, there is a SNMP. Okay, simple network management protocol, which is running on a port number 161, right? So these kind of objects is known as a UDP kind of object. So which include the UDP protocols. So we can create these object group, we define the service, after we can give the name. At the end we can use TCP UDP or TCP UDP both. After we can define the port object EQ. Here we can use the 80, 443, 22, 23, anyone, 25, according to which we want to create. We can also define the range, means if we want to include all the port which is from 100 to 120, we can give like this as well. We are also having ICMP kind of objects. So generally ICMP is a protocol which, so generally you always ping, right? Ping a particular IP address, it uses the ICMP service. So the thing is, sometimes we also need to create these ICMP kind of objects. It is also like layer 3 protocol, if you know. TCP and UDP is a layer 4 protocols. I'm not going to explain. Okay, I will explain you that NTP. So what happens? You know, like this, let's suppose this is your network. Here you are having like firewall, right? That firewall is also connected with the switches. That switch is having the connectivity with the other switches, right? Other switches, and these switches have a connectivity with your PC, servers. Sometimes what happens, maybe you are having your firewall, here you are having IPS. Okay, lots of devices there. So what happens, in that case, you also have a NTP servers. Okay, NTP means network time protocols. So the thing is, if this particular system sends any traffic towards the outside, so the thing is to get the exact information, exact time when he initiated that traffic through the switch, through the firewall. For that, we need a time synchronization on all the devices, which is like similar. they are having similar time on all the devices, then only we can get the actual logs, like actual details when this guy initiated traffic and when this traffic reaches to that switch and when this traffic reaches to the firewall. In that cases, we generally use the NTP, Network Time Protocol, which basically runs on a port number 123, which is I hope which is a UDP port. Okay. That is the some configuration. Okay. So I'm done with this slide. Let me also explain you some more scenario regarding the ACLs only. Let's suppose this is my firewall. Okay. This is my switch. And here I am having this PC, this PC. Let's suppose, and I'm also having two more client over there and two client here. Okay. So let's suppose these two are my HR users. These two are my administrators, and these two are my sales guy. Okay. And what happens? We are having here some servers in internet. Okay. So this is your outside, this is your inside. This is your ISP. And here you are having some servers in internet. Okay. And this server is connected with the ISP. Let's suppose this is the HR server. This is your administrator servers, and this is your sales guy servers. Okay. This is server 1, server 2, and server 3. Now what happens if we are not having any ACL on the firewall, right? So HR users can also access any server, right? They can access this server, they can access this server, they can access this server, right? So what happens? Your manager said to you, only HR guy can access the HR server, only administrator can access the administrator server, and only sales guy can access your sales server. To achieve that kind of things, what happens? You need to write a policies over there. You need to write the ACLs. That is the first requirement. Okay. So in ACL you define if the traffic coming from all HR users, okay, and going to these servers, allowed. This traffic is allowed. Okay. The traffic coming from HR users and going to HR server, that traffic is allowed by the firewall. If the traffic which is initiated by the, let me take this, if the traffic initiated by the HR users, which is going to the sales server or to the administrator server. So the thing is we just define the ACL on our firewalls. So if firewall see this kind of traffic, it will deny that traffic or drop. Allow means permit. Okay. So that kind of things we can achieve by the firewall only. This ACLs only. Oh, sorry, man. Let me draw that same thing again. This is my core switch. Okay, here I am having two users. I'm having two users here. So these are my sales guy. This is my administrator. This is my HRs. Okay, this is have a connectivity with the ISP, and this ISP having three servers: S1, S2, and S3. So what happens sometimes? Like these are the HR, these are the administrator, and these are the sales guy, right? So you have giving the access to these HR users to this HR server. Okay, you are giving the administrator to access the administrator servers. Okay, and you are giving the access to sales guy to the sales servers. So you have giving that server by using the ACLs. Okay, now what requirement come here? You hire a new guy. Okay. And the thing is, that guy is also expert on doing the administrator work, and he is also expert on doing the sales work, right? So the thing is, for that particular user, you need to provide the access of these two servers, right? This server and this server. So the thing is, if you want to achieve that kind of task, you can achieve by using the ACLs only. Okay, so the thing is, traffic initiated by this new joinee towards this administrator server and sales server, the firewall allow that traffic. Okay, if he is trying to go towards this HR servers, it's basically deny that traffic. Okay, so the thing is, generally ACL used for controlling the access. Okay, controlling the access. We can drop the traffic, we can allow the traffic according to our company policies and the company requirement. Okay, so the main work of ACL is to control the traffic. Now you are okay with the ACLs, everybody. ACLs. Everybody is okay with the ACLs or need more clarity on that? If you ask the question, I definitely draw one scenario and I will explain you again. Okay, now let me take one more example on that, on ACL only. So this is your firewall. Here you are having, this is your DMZ. Okay, here you are having some servers. S1, S2, S3 and S4. Okay, you are having these servers. You are having inside users here. And this is your outside, this is your inside, this is your outside, this is your ISP, and here you are having some branch offices. Okay, like branch office 1, branch office 2 and branch office 3. In this branch office you are also having users, right? So what happens, your organization is a big organization. Okay, so you are having lots of branch office. Okay, so the thing is, every organization having these kind of setup. So generally, let's suppose this is your head office network. Okay, this is your head office network. So generally what happens, all the servers, every organization put into the head office only, because they are not going to put the same servers on branch offices, right? Because the thing is, to implement these servers, like we need to spend lots of money, right? We are going to put these servers on this place and this place and this place, right? And we also need some expert to manage these servers. To reduce that kind of cost, we always having the servers on our head office only. And generally what happens, we give the access to our inside users to this DMZ server directly, right? But what happens if that branch of office users, they also want to access these servers? Okay, so the thing is, these guys sending their traffic through the internet, right? And that internet is unsecure, because maybe in this internet there are lots of attackers also sitting, right? And they are just watching your traffic if they get any kind of information for that. So what happens, to provide the access of to the legitimate guy only, means the actual guys, we can write the ACLs on the firewall. So the thing is, traffic which is coming from the branch office 1 users, branch office 2 users and branch office 3 users only allow for accessing these particular servers. Okay, if other guy, like this is attacker, if this guy sending any traffic towards this server, so the thing is, firewall then drop this server at this point only. Okay, so that traffic is not able to even reach these servers. Okay, so the thing is, you see here, ACL is playing the important role over there, because without ACL we cannot implement any kind of security, right? But ASA is a security solution. So the thing is, we need to understand the ACLs and we need to write the different kind of ACLs on the firewall to secure the communication which is happening from inside to DMZ, inside to outside, or branch office to the DMZ, or branch office to the inside users. To securing that kind of communication, we use the ACLs on the firewall. Okay, so only the authorized guy or the authorized users can access these servers. No other guys can able to access. The traffic is blocked by the firewall at the perimeter level. That's why firewall is known as a perimeter device. Means we put a firewall in a, like always, in a core layer. Core layer means the device which is directly connected with the internet. These devices is known as a core devices. Means all the traffic going through these devices only. So here you see all the traffic is going through this firewall only. Okay. So if someone break the security of the firewall, that time they can easily enter in your network, right? And they can do anything. So that's why actually, if they find any black hole on the firewall, black hole means if we have not configured any ACLs in the firewall, that time like attacker just come inside your network and he just do the malicious activities. Maybe he just install some viruses in your servers or in your inside your machines, okay? And they just collect all the information. Maybe they just crash these servers and all. So that kind of issues basically we can prevent by using the firewall only. Okay. So anyone having any doubt with the ACLs? Why we use ACL? What is the use case of ACL and all? So let me also go through with the net again. Okay. So tomorrow we will see all the configuration, because configuration is not a big deal. I can configure in half an hour all these things. Okay. So you need to understand the concept, the thing why we are using that particular feature on the firewall. Okay. So let me now explain the net. Net is a simply a mean of address translation. Means it is just change the address, like from private IP address to the public IP, or from public to private. It is doing the translation from private to public or public to private. That is the use of net. Means it is just changing the IP address. That's it. So the thing is commonly change the private address source into a globally routed address pool. Means public IP addresses which is globally routable on the internet. It is also known as a one-to-one mapping. Means I have telling you there is a like lots of types of net, like dynamic net. So it's a like one-to-one. We are having PAT. It's a like one-to-many. I have also shown you the packet, how basically they will change the packet, how they use the source port and these ports to identify the connection and all in that previous class only. Okay, so you go through with that videos if you are not able to understand, and also Google it these things so you can also get more clarity on that. If you face any issue, if you are not able to understand anything in the Google and all, just let me know. I will definitely explain you. Just put this kind of question in front of me. Okay. So we are also having port address translation is the idea of mapping multiple source addresses into one outside address. Means we can just translate the multiple private IP address into one public IP on the basis of port numbers only. Okay. NAT is available in both routed mode and the transparent mode. So the thing is in firewall having two modes, routed mode and the transparent mode. Okay. So we can configure NAT on both modes. Most importantly, NAT is not required for the firewall to function and therefore is completely optional. Means we can also configure the firewall without NAT. Okay. But the thing is, if we want to send the traffic from like private cloud to public cloud, okay, that time we need a NAT. If we are using this firewall. Sometime what happens, let me also draw one more diagram. Like you are having here you are having firewall, you are having router, and that router have a connectivity with the internet ISP, and here you are having inside user DMZ users. So whatever here you are using private IP address, here also you are using private IP address, and you have configured the public IP address on this router interface. So the thing is, you can also configure the NAT on router. In that case, you don't need to configure the NAT on ASA. Okay, but you know, router is designed for doing the routing, not NAT. Okay, and firewall is designed for doing the NAT and ACLs. So generally we will configure the NAT always on the firewall, not on the router. Okay, because if we configure NAT on the router, it is not able to provide the proper functionality. Okay, it is not able to do the proper translation, because this device is basically designed for doing the routing. And if we can use the NAT on firewall, it gives the better result, because that device is designed for doing the NAT and ACL. Okay, so these features always be used on a firewall only. My voice is clear to you guys, because I'm getting some error message regarding that. Yeah. Let me go into the next page. Okay, that is the very important NAT control, because that question people ask in ASA, what is the NAT control? So what happens? Basically, in ASA, when it is started, there's a operating system which is 7.0. After they have a 8.0, 8.1, 8.2. So the thing is, in below 8.2 and 8.2, okay, 8.2 and below 8.2, they have a concept of NAT control, because in 8.3 onwards to 8.4 and 9.x, x means 9.1, 9.2, 9.6, 9.9. These are the latest one, 9.9. They have removed that NAT control concept, first of all. Okay, so that concept is only valid for the valid for the ASA which is running the operating system which is 8.2 or below, first of all. So NAT control is the concept that a packet from a high security interface must match a NAT policy when traveling a lower security interface. Means the thing is, this is our ASA firewall, and it is running the 8.2 version or below any version like 8.1 or 7.x, any version, and the traffic going from inside to outside. That time we need a NAT statement. Okay, otherwise that traffic is dropped by the firewall. That is the NAT control. So if we want to allow that kind of traffic, either we can disable the NAT control on this device, either we just configure the NAT control, NAT statement on the firewall. Okay, so the thing is, in this version of ASA firewall, we need a NAT statement to sending the inside traffic towards the outside. Okay, so NAT control is disabled by default. So generally, by default, NAT control is disabled only on the firewalls. Okay, just remember this point. They will definitely ask that kind of questions. So let me explain you the dynamic NAT. So dynamic NAT means, first of all, it's like one-to-one NAT. As I have told you that day, means if we are having here 1,000 users, then we need a 1,000 public IP address. Okay, 1,000 public IP. If we are having 1,000 private IP. Private IP means 1,000 employee. Okay. So dynamic NAT is the most common application of the NAT on the Cisco firewall. It allocates address from a specified pool for the host as the stable connection to meet the NAT policy. There is no relationship between a host and its translated address. Hence, it's a dynamic address. Okay. Means, so the thing is, no one going to purchase these much IP address. Okay. So that's why they have come with a PAT concept. Port address transition. So people is not using any more this dynamic NAT. They are using the PAT only nowadays. Okay. It's like PAT. So as I told you that day, right? In PAT was basically, these are the inside users, like This is the like firewall outside interface IP, and these are the inside users, right? So here basically he's changing this particular users, okay, on like this, like he used first this port, then this port, then this port, like this, okay. So PAT is best used in the small networks where a global address pool is not available. Commonly the firewall interface address is used. Best way to conserve addresses as translated all address into one address and uses port numbers for the tracking. Means it can translate the multiple private IP into one public IP only, and it use the port numbers for identifying the session or for tracking the particular sessions, which is which connection initiated by the BIS users. Okay, so this is our PAT here. After we are also having a static net. Okay, first of all, we use this static net if we are having any server in our DMZ or in our inside, okay, and we want to provide the access of this server to the public users. Public users mean into the internet. Like if your organization having the website of your particular organization, okay, that website is hosted in any of the server which is available or in DMZ or in inside. So the thing is, generally you need to provide the access of this particular website to everybody, right? So the thing is, for that you need to configure the static net on the firewall, and you need a public IP for that to host this particular website. Okay, a static net is the most common form of net when reachability is critical to a host. Okay, address have a one-to-one relationship, mean it's like one-to-one mapping only. Assuming the access policy permitted, the host is reachable both from the inside and the outside network. Means the thing is what happens. So let's suppose this is your web server, okay, and this is someone in a internet. He's just trying to access this server. So you know this is an inside, okay. So it is having the security of which is 100, and that guy having the security of 0. So that traffic is coming from 0 to 100, means low security level to high security level. So we need a ACL, right, to allow that kind of traffic, because by default the traffic is dropped by the firewall, which is coming from low security level to high security level. Okay, so we need to permit that traffic by using the ACL. Okay, remember this point. We are having a static PAT as well. Okay, let me complete that static PAT. It's like very nice concept. So what happened in that static PAT? If you are having like 3 servers there, one is web server, another one is SHS and SMTP. So you know web server is running on port number 80, SHS running on port number 22, right? SMTP running on port number 25. Okay, so what happens in that case? And you are only having one public IP address. Okay, so the thing is, and this is your users. Okay, there we are having around 3 users. Okay, not 3, we are having multiple users. Okay, I'm just taking 3 users only. So let's suppose this user sends the traffic on this IP, the 172.16.100 on port number 80. So but the thing is, when firewall receive this traffic, firewall just forward this traffic towards the web server. Okay, and if this the same user sends the traffic on this particular IP, which is 172.16.100 on port number 22, then this firewall send this traffic into this server. Okay, means we are hosting multiple servers on one IP only, right? And why we just use the port numbers for identifying these servers, right? For translation. Okay, so that kind of things we can achieve by using the static PAT. It is also known as a like port translation, that kind of things. Okay, so static PAT is optional where only one global address is available and multiple services require for reachability from the outside. Okay, a static net only allow a one-to-one mapping, but static PAT allow a multiple listeners on a single port. Okay, an excellent solution for hosting services on a small network. Okay, so anyone having any doubt with the static PAT? Maybe you will see that kind of scenario in your network if you got a job in any organization. Guys, you are getting anything which I am telling? We are having around 9 or 10 guys. If you have doubt, just ask, okay? So everyone is good with this? Okay, Divya, thank you. Other one man, like Pawan Gaurav, are you okay with that? Or you need a like more explanation on that? I will explain you, okay? Because if you ask question, definitely you got more, okay? If you have doubt, just ask here. Okay, then I'm just moving into my next topic. So three optional for bypassing the net, okay? So generally, I will complete these things, okay, when I will teach you the VPN, because generally we use that kind of things in a VPN, okay? So I'm just skipping this thing here, and we will discuss that thing on a VPN class, okay? Because on VPN only we need to bypass the net rules. It's not bypass, we are just going to do the translation on the same IP address, means we just translate the same source on the same source and same destination on the same destination only. Okay, so generally it bypass the PAT which we are having. So I will explain you that thing on a VPN class, because that is the like best place to explain this thing. And what is remaining now? PolicyNet. Okay. So what happens in PolicyNet? In some cases, it may be necessary to have a net policy that translates based on the source and destination address, while dynamic net only considers the source address, and PolicyNet looks at both source and destination, including the port number. Very useful when an application, that is FTP or voice over IP, has secondary channels that needs to a specific policy. The source, destination, and all relevant ports are assigned via an ACL. Okay. PolicyNet does not support the time-based ACLs. So let me first tell you what is the PolicyNet. Okay. So let me draw the notepad file for this. You also need to one more thing before that PolicyNet. So what happens in ASA firewall? We are having two ways to configure the net. We are having the AutoNet, or it is also known as a object net. Okay, and we are having the manual net or twice net. The difference between both, in manual net we are having more control. Okay, more control on net statement. In that auto net we are having less control. Okay, that is the main difference. And these both net having these kind of like they are having dynamic net, dynamic PAT, static net, static PAT, and policy net. Okay, so that policy net is not available in auto net. We are having only policy net in manual net only. Okay, let me take the example of this policy net. Let's suppose this is my firewall. This is my inside user. Okay, this is my server, which is in DMZ zone. This is my outside ISP. Okay, and that ISP having one server, server 1. Okay, so what happens? This is my inside. So generally what happens, this is my DMZ server. Okay, and let's suppose this is the internet user. Okay, so what happens, we have hosted this server, okay, publicly. So you know that like every server having the URLs like www.abc.com, right? This is the particular URL of this server. So you know that like when this guy want to send any traffic towards this guy by using this URL www.abc.com. So what happens? That request first go to the internet, right? In internet, maybe we are having DNS server, right? In internet. So that request first go to it in internet. After that, the reply comes. Okay, to this guy. Now this user only able to send the traffic towards the DMZ. And also the thing is, if that request going to the internet, so he get the public IP of this server, right? And it is also having one private IP. So what happens if these users can also access directly to this server by using his private IP address. Okay. So what happens in that case is when he get the particular IP address, like this is DNS request, okay, and this is DNS reply. In DNS reply, he got the IP address. Okay, this is request and this is reply. In reply, he got the IP address. Now the thing is that user is just going to send the traffic towards this public IP. So that traffic going to till the ISP, and through ISP that traffic coming back, and it is now going towards the DMZ server, right? So I think it's a like bad thing. The same traffic is going through our outside internet and it is coming from the DMZ. Now this firewall also go like that. Okay, so you see it is that traffic is flowing in this place without any mean, right? To achieve that kind of things, we always use a policy net. In that policy net, let's suppose this is the 10.2.2. This is the IP address of this particular server, which is private IP, and this is having the 10.1.100. Okay, and the thing is public IP address of this server is let's suppose 190.1.1.1. Okay, I'm just taking the example here. So what happens when this guy send any traffic to this server? So let's suppose he is using this IP address, which is 190.1.1.1. This is the destination IP. So when this traffic reaches to the firewall, what in that case firewall just change this IP address, okay, 190.1.1 into this particular IP. So the thing is here it is changing the destination net, right? So what in that kind of net is known as a policy net. Okay, maybe here we are having multiple servers as well. Okay, the thing is when request going on this particular IP on port number 80, then this server will respond. Okay, if that request goes on this IP and port number is 443, then this server will respond. Okay, because it is running 443, it is running 25, and it is running 80 web service. Okay, so that kind of things we can achieve by using the policy net on the basis of policies, okay, which we have configured. So that is your ACL and NAT. How we basically configure the NAT on the firewall and how we will configure the ACL. So that thing we will see tomorrow. Okay, and that is the actual working of your firewall. Okay, how your firewall basically do the translation and all. Okay, so anyone have doubt on that? Otherwise I will stop the class. So we will see the configuration tomorrow. So tomorrow we will complete the ACL and NAT configuration with all the labs like static NAT lab and PAT, all the labs. Okay, I will also write that few ACLs and all.